Is YouTube, we are live. Thank you. We are back from executive session. No action was taken. This is continuation of the May 1st Personnel Administration and Higher Education Committee. Next item of business is an update from President Duffy, soon to be Dr. Duffy. Gonna lose that prestigious title, but
Thank you. Thanks for reminding me. All good. Well, good morning, everyone, and thanks for having me. I just had a few updates. I haven't been here for a couple of months, so just wanted to highlight, of course, graduation is coming. We're a week out from graduation next Saturday. Supervisor Wild will represent you at our ceremony, which is always wonderful. Always, this is the best time of year because we're in celebration mode. We have award ceremony after award ceremony, but lots of great student success stories, and it culminates at graduation. The high voltage project that you helped us fund, as well as Washington County, that's moving along on schedule. The first part of the work will commence right after graduation. There will be some construction and digging going on the upper quad. So if you drive down Bay Road and you see things happening, that's what's happening. But our bids came in and we're very happy with the bids. So the work will start after graduation. You may remember that it's really kind of a two-phase project because the equipment that we need, and this is way out of my expertise, but the equipment that we need in order to finalize the project won't be here probably until next year. So this summer, the first part of the project will be digging up the upper quad and laying the groundwork for the project going forward. So things are moving along as expected there, which we again appreciate the support on. I've reported to you before, we're continuing our HVAC training, continuing to acknowledge the gap in workers, particularly in the HVAC area. We got some additional funding from SUNY, about $150,000, so we'll be able to continue to fund that important work. We'll kick off the next cohort this summer. It's in partnership with the Plumbers and Steamfitters Union, so we'll actually be utilizing their facilities, which has been very helpful. If anyone knows of instructors, however, it's been a little challenging to find instructors that can meet our schedule, but we're still working on that, and we expect to have that ready to go this summer. In the new program approval process is a new radiologic technology degree program, RadTech, as you often hear, training people on becoming X-ray technicians. Big gap in workers in that area. We've worked closely with Glens Falls Hospital, Adirondack Radiology, and Spotoba Hospital to help develop the curriculum. It has moved through our campus process, and now it goes to SUNY and then the New York State Education Department. It also has to go to the Office of Professions because it's a licensure program. So that process can take quite a bit of time. And we hope, though, if everything goes well, we'll be able to launch our first cohort in that important program next fall. So that's in the works. We've also just approved an environmental science degree program, which we think also, of course, makes sense given our region. And that's made it through the campus process as well, and will go on to SUNY and State Ed. I'm sure you've heard, and we're still awaiting the final budget, but it seems, based on at least what I read in the paper, so you're reading the same things I am, we haven't gotten any inside scoop yet, but that the governor's proposal to provide tuition-free education for adult learners in high-demand programs is going to make it through the budget process. We're told that's the case. This is a great opportunity for our adult learners who are looking to be retrained, or new learners that want to be educated in programs that will help them prepare to enter the workforce immediately. That will go in place for this fall. We are ready and prepared. We've been working with SUNY on making sure we understand the process. SUNY will actually be administering the program. So there's more details to come, but we expect that once the budget is finalized and that's announced, we'll be off and running and be able to admit students this fall who will be able to take advantage of that scholarship. It's a last dollar scholarship, meaning the student has to apply for all other types of financial aid, whether state or federal, and then the state will kick in whatever gap there is in that funding. So those will be in programs like any computer science, IT, cyber networking, mechatronics, in teacher education, pathways, programs that seem to have the largest gaps in workers. So we're excited to be able to support that. We are working on our budget, just as you know, and this month the Board of Trustees will take up our proposal for tuition and fees. Unfortunately, as we continue to receive no increased funding from the state, we will have to increase our tuition in order to balance our budget as best we can. And that will be coming to the board this month. We will be meeting in a joint county meeting as we typically do in June with both you and Washington County. We'll present the full budget at that point, as well as any updates from the college. So unless something magical happens in the state budget, there is a proposal in the assembly to increase our funding, operating aid funding for community colleges by $30 million. That would be a great step forward. But we've seen this before and, we'll keep our fingers crossed, but that's where we are with our budget. In the funding world, as I'm sure you're following, many of the actions that are being taken by this administration and freezing funding. Of course, we're grateful that we were able to, or Head Start was able to get their funding that they needed so that we didn't have to close our childcare center, which 30 students were relying on that care for the last 3 weeks of the semester. So we're grateful for that. We're hopeful that Head Start will continue. There's lots of different discussion around that. The other program that's at risk, however, is our TRIO Student Support Services program. This is a federal grant that supports 150 students on campus for full-time employees. This is a program that's been around since the 1960s, has very successful outcomes. We're very concerned, of course, because we have not heard about our renewal application. We got the first grant for 5 years. We submitted our renewal application on time last fall. We still have not heard if that program is going to be funded again. It expires at the end of August. So as you can imagine, there's a bit of consternation on campus and concern about cutting a program that has had one of the highest success rates of any other program on campus. So we're anxious, of course, to hear about that. Trying not to end on a bad note. As I said, graduation is coming and lots of great energy on campus, and fall enrollment is starting to look good for us. Summer enrollment is up when we compare year over year. And also our fall applications have been steady, and we had our first accepted student day last week. We had over 100 students here. So we'll be continuing to update you on our enrollment, but things are looking good so far. So I'll finish there. Any questions?
Thank you, Duffy. Ben?
Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Duffy is being, I think, a bit modest as far as her and the college's involvement with the Head Start situation. I think people need to know, and I mentioned it at the Human Services Committee. The college came to the table with a large amount of cash in case our federal representatives weren't able to maneuver the situation, and I think that speaks to the support that they have of their students and all those that utilized the college's Head Start site, as well as Head Start as an institution in our area. And
well, you're being generous. I appreciate that. It was a team effort for sure, and we can also thank our partners at SUNY who were willing to step up and help us provide the funding. So thank you for that. Yep.
Any other questions? Nate?
Mr. Chairman, when you were mentioning the proposal for free tuition, you said adult learners?
Yes.
Anybody?
I'm sorry. Yes, it's anyone 25 to 55 is what at least the proposal from the state has identified. So that would be the cohort that we would be focusing on. Yeah, it's similar to a program that was rolled out in Massachusetts. It was so highly successful that within the second year, Massachusetts then dropped the age requirement and now has a free community college tuition program. So we're hoping we might follow the same suit so that everyone has that opportunity. But the important thing to know about, especially that age group, they typically do not qualify for as much aid because they're now independent. Their salaries may be just too high for financial aid, but they don't necessarily have disposable cash to be able to invest in their education.
Any other questions for Dr. Duffy? Chris, I'm going to ask you to stick around for a minute because one of the agenda items there's some resolutions that you might be able to provide some insight on.
Okay.
But on a personal note, how much longer do you have before you relinquish your?
I hope I have a lot of years left in this role through the end of June.
Through the end of June.
Yes.
Well, there will be a time that we hope to present you with some type of recognition, because what you've done for the college and the community is outstanding, exemplary, and you will be missed. And I'm pretty certain that your replacement will jump right in and
Absolutely.
make things happen. As far as the graduation, I have done this for the last few years. Does anyone on the committee like to jump in? So then you're going to force
It's
me
a
into this.
good 2 hours, I
Yeah,
can tell you.
well,
that.
just, I'll see if I can try to make the podium uncomfortable again when I make my speech. But all right, so let's move on to the agenda. I'm going to skip B to go to C. It's a request a resolution to support City of Adirondack to sell property located at 240 Sanford Street in the city of Glens Falls. Chris, do you have any additional input? Oh, okay, go ahead, John.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Very-
You want to talk about it? I can.
Larry's been involved and I mean, I certainly know about it.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about the Crockwell Pond.
Rockwell Pond, yeah.
And so the college has had that for many years, was a gift to the college. So they didn't pay anything for it. And they used it for academic programming. The last several years, they've not had any academic programming there and don't foresee the need to have academic programming there in the future. As well as the fact that there are costs associated with maintaining it and for the purposes of safety, as well as just being good neighbors, that you don't want it to get overgrown. So at this point, the college decided that since they did not need it any longer, and it's actually because you're one of the two sponsor counties, it requires your approval to move forward with the sale. They're planning on listing it at the appraised price and seeing what offers may come in. That's
Okay.
sum and substance in a nutshell.
Any questions in the committee? Or John, would you like to add something?
Something I'd like to add, because I went out and looked at the property. Neighbors around the property have been using it. They're fishing in it. They're maybe swimming, not sure. It's hard to tell, and it's something that we don't want. The college doesn't need that liability chance.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the committee?
Is there any reason why it wouldn't be listed above the appraised value?
The college, it could be listed above that. The college is going to be working with realtors to get that listed. The college is not supposed to be selling it below the appraised value. There's some concern about getting the appraised value price for it. And there has to be, from a legal perspective, there needs to be a significant attempt to try to sell it at least at that appraised price before there's a potential reduction in price. But again, we're going to wait and see what offers are being made. But again, that's up to the realtor and the college to figure out where it's going. When I said listing at the appraised price, it can't be listed below the appraised price, is my point.
I don't really know much, if anything, about the property. Is this a buildable lot? I mean,
It's
you
not a-
mentioned there's a pond on it.
I was gonna bring that up. It's not a buildable lot. It's between two roads and then there are houses around it. So it's not anything that has any buildable space. It's just, you're basically buying a pond. So it's gonna be valued possibly to someone who lives there who wants to use it. It might be something they can pick up, but it doesn't. If you get the appraised value, we've done pretty well.
Understood. Thank you.
Any other question, Nate?
Is there any synergy with the city about using it alongside their new plans for the Tennessee Swimming Club?
There was some discussion with the city about acquiring that. There was some negotiation with the city, and the college and the city couldn't come to an agreement with regard to how that would work. And so therefore, the college needs to put it on the market. Obviously, if the city is interested in purchasing it, they certainly can come forward with it. But there had been some discussion about it, just wasn't able to come to fruition.
Any other questions? With that, I'll call a question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No, we don't have a motion. Well, let me get a motion first. Supervisor Mayday. Now we'll try that again. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Moving back to item B, it's a resolution approving the collective bargaining agreement between City Adirondack and the Faculty Association at the college. Motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Driscoll, Supervisor Mayday on the second. Any questions, comments?
What's the time period on it?
Time period is commencing September 1, 2025, terminating August 31st, 2030.
Yeah, you said 3 years.
28. I'm gonna change the agenda to 28. Okay. All right, so through the 28th, I'll call the question. We do have a motion, right? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That carries. Thank you for joining us this morning. Moving on to item 2, request items to be discussed by the Human Resources Director. Are there any questions about the report on tracking of vacancies? Seeing none, I'll look at our personnel officer. Any comments? Not today. Okay, moving on, item 3. Items to be discussed by the clerk of the board, Amanda.
So 3A is a request to amend resolution number 18 of 2025, which appointed members to the Warren Washington County's Industrial Development Agency and Civic Development Corporation. And that would be to replace Supervisor E2 with Kevin Mahoney, effective date of the board meeting.
So we can make that motion. Supervisor Driscoll on the second. Any questions, comments? Ben?
Just like to thank Supervisor E2 for his service, and I've known Kevin Mahoney for a long time. He's a Hall of Famer, and I'm sure he'll do a great job.
Excellent. So should Supervisor Ito recuse himself from this discussion?
I'll just say if I can, I've never served on the board. I was
Oh,
appointed to it. and I was
okay.
never
All right,
physically
okay.
Able to make a meeting, so
All
I
right.
said months and months ago, I can't serve on it, and
Okay.
it's taken a long time to find a
Okay, great.
I
Thanks.
would have loved to.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You'll be welcome. I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. To the next.
Okay, and 3B is a request to amend resolution number 370 of 2024, which approves the standard workday and time reporting resolution for all elected and appointed officials for retirement purposes. And we just needed to do some small updates there to include reporting information for late filers.
So can we have a motion to bring this to the floor? Josh, thank you. Second, Supervisor Hudak. Questions, comments? I see some studying happening here, so we'll be patient for a minute.
Chairman,
Yes,
I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but my question to Amanda is, how come there are not more names on that list?
So this is only elected and appointed officials who are in the retirement system.
Okay, all right, got you. Okay,
I'm retired.
okay, okay.
any other questions, concerns? I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries also. Thank you, Amanda. Mr. Colvin, items to be discussed by the Director of Information Technology.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just doing a computer reserve fund transfer for some planned projects to move money to various departments for computer purchases.
Okay, need a motion to bring this to the floor? Supervisor Mayday. On the first, on the second, Supervisor Driscoll. Thank you, Ben. Any questions, comments? Seems to be a standard procedure.
Yeah.
Call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item 5, Criminal Justice and Public Safety Emergency Services Committee. 5A is a request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule, create a new position of probation officer trainee number 3, effective May 14, 2025. John, do you have any insight in this? I'm sorry, I'm not with it in terms of the probation officer and what the justification.
I mean,
is
this
for.
was the position, Mr. Etu,
UC.
UC told us hadn't been filled for a number of years, and it helps with, I guess, succession planning and you know, making sure that we have appropriate positions filled.
Yeah, please, Amanda.
Kind of along the lines there, the probation office does this commonly. where they'll take a probation officer position and they leave it there unfunded and they move that funding into a probation officer trainee position. And that allows them to bring people in at the lower level. And then eventually what will happen is they will move that around again and that trainee will move up to a probation officer and they should up to the other position.
It's usually about a 6-month period.
Good. All right, any questions? We have a motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Mayday, anyone else on the second? Supervisor Etu, thank you. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. There's also a request from the sheriff's office to amend the table of salary, organization and salary schedule to create a new position, patrol officer number 2. It's a contingent position, annual salary $56,111, effective June 1, 2025. And unfortunately, I'm not familiar with this one also. Motion to bring this to the floor first, Supervisor Mayday, second by Supervisor Driscoll.
About me, I just can't remember everything about it. Yeah.
Yeah, Sharon? I'm not sure about this one.
I talked to the sheriff yesterday too, and he said there's.
So when they, I don't recall exactly this one. I know with other contingent positions, usually what happens is they're filling this because someone is out for some reason. If you recall, we had one a number of years ago. Oh, Jackie's probably got the better answer.
Oh, Jackie, please come up to the podium, please.
I talked about this request with the sheriff. They have to start new employees in time for the new academy. And he's one position short because there's a retirement a couple of weeks, I believe, after the academy starts.
Okay.
So he has one existing contingent position for this little overlap period. And this year he just happens to need 2, but it's for less than a month. It's just to get somebody starting the academy prior to a retirement.
And he has the funding for it as well.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? So we have a motion on the table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries also. Moving on. Referral from the Economic Growth and Development Committee, chaired by Supervisor Etu, to authorize temporary positions for the Summer Youth Employment Program, authorizing training slots for the program year 2025 that begins July 1, 25 and ends on June 30th, 26. Motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Etu, Supervisor Mayday on the second. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Referral from the Legislative Rules and Government Operations Committee. I think most of us were here to recognize this. But this was a request to amend the table of organization and salary schedule for a new position in motor vehicle license registration clerk, a temporary position, annual salary based not to exceed $10,000. Motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Mayday, second by Supervisor Patchett. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries also. Moving on to item 8, request to be discussed by the county attorney. We will have an executive session coming up, but I'm going to refer this over to county attorney Larry. If you can give us an update on anything that are out of executive session.
Sure. Well, the first item, 8A in the agenda is for a Warren County Fiscal Approval Authority Management Policy. The purpose of which is to enhance our accountability across the county, ensure financial compliance with New York State federal and municipal law, county's purchasing policy, as well as generally accepted accounting and auditing principles. And a copy of the proposed policy is enclosed with the packet. There is currently a practice and procedure that's followed, but there's no written policy which designates specifically the department heads being responsible for their annual revenues and the process and requirement to designate in writing an individual who will have the same authority for fiscal activity as the department head. We refer to that person as the department head designee in the policy. What I do want to say before I say a single additional word is that this policy was provided to this committee after a very extensive review process undertaken by the County Risk and Safety Committee. The Risk and Safety Committee identified the risk in not having a clearly articulated fiscal approval authority policy in place, and took substantial time working through the language that's in this draft policy to ensure that it met the needs of the county across many of its departments. So I'm very, very grateful that once again, I get to present their work product to this committee to fill and further complement the risk management and risk mitigation efforts that the Risk and Safety Committee has undertaken.
Any questions, comments? Motion, actually, let me do a motion first. Motion to bring this to the floor. Supervisor Mayday, second by Supervisor Rito. Supervisor Rito, question?
Yeah, this would affect every department. It would be, how will it be implemented and monitored by the county administrators? Regular scheduled department head calls or?
No, it really gets monitored and implemented by the key people in the county between the treasurer's office, the county auditor. When necessary, it could be the county attorney's office if there's an issue that arises. But it does apply for all departments, and it's been sized for all the different sizes of departments we have, which is why you'll see on number 7 under procedures that there is actually under the policy of default to the county administrator or the county administrator's designee when a department head or a department head designee is not available for a department. We have some departments that are very small. So there have been occasions in the past where the department head or their one designee are not available. So the policy really, the committee did a beautiful job trying to think through all possible contingencies, make sure that there's something in writing. And I would also hope and anticipate this would help with our outside annual audit, filling this gap as well.
Any other questions? Josh?
I assume that this fiscal management policy still would adhere to the county's procurement policy. Is that correct?
It is actually requiring adherence to the county purchasing policy as well as general municipal law and generally accepted principles for accounting.
Okay, yeah, I just noticed there's no numbers in here, so that makes sense. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. Larry, I'm not sure, is there other items to be discussed outside of executive session? Because I have a feeling executive session will take some time.
The only item I just want to mention briefly is that next month I'll provide in writing a report to the committee on payments that have been made out of the newly created insurance reserve. There have been 3 payments, 3 matters that we've been able to settle within the last 30 days. And we will start providing monthly reports to the committee so the committee can so I can do what's required under the policy, which is to advise the committee of expenditures from that insurance fund. And so the committee can see what progress we're making in having a positive impact on our liability, risk, and insurance coverage. So other than that, there's 2 items for discussion on the agenda under 8B and 8C, a reconciliation update and a litigation update. You want me to go through those for purpose of
For executive session, please.
We would handle both in executive session. The first is the reconciliation update, which is a request to enter in, motion to enter into an executive session under Public Officers Law, Section 108(3), as to matters made confidential by federal or state law, which includes attorney-client communications, as well as Public Officers Law, Section 105(1)(f), matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person. And for the litigation update, it would be also a further motion, or joining in that motion for an executive session under Public Officers Law 105(1)(d), to engage in discussions of proposed, pending, and current litigation, and to provide attorney-client communications regarding those matters under Public Officers Law 108(3). Specifically, the matters which will be touched on during the executive session under lawsuits without insurance coverage, it may be numbers 1, 2, under lawsuits with insurance, 2 and 5, and under the notice of claims and administrative complaints, it would be 1, 5, and 6.
Big executive session. Motion for executive session, Supervisor Ito, second by Supervisor Mayday.
If I could, before the motion goes to the floor, if the committee would consider including in the executive session, the county auditor, the director of human resources, the county property and casualty risk manager, and the public defender.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We shall enter into executive session.
Back in a minute.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah.